Namaste. This is the first of the series on meditation, and in this video I will talk a little bit about the types of meditation, especially for somebody who is interested in the contemplative paths such as the yoga, Vedanta, Buddhism and other things. And the basic forms of meditation we will discuss. And in the later videos, I will go a little deeper into how to move from simpler meditation to contemplation, and also to use that natural glimpse, to get a natural glimpse of our inner true state. So then this first one, when we talk about meditation, in general, meditation refers to an act of focusing the attention on some object. And this is the most commonly known meditation. And as is very famously said in the Bhagavad Gita, just as a lamp stays still in where there is no wind, that yatadipo nivataste. So that nengate sopama smrita. So like when the wind is blowing, the lamp stays still. So that kind of act is that commonly yogic state where we are trying to bring the mind to a complete stillness. And many religions and many things, they focus on that, are using mantras, visualization, or chanting the God's name, different means to get that stillness of mind. And it is an important practice, and it is a preliminary practice for any kind of sadhana. So some ability to do that is very important. And of course there are different techniques and different means to do that. But anything that we find most conducive, we can adopt that. And in order to do that, it is mentioned how to go about doing it. And this is basically again in the 6th chapter of Gita. A lot of tips are given. There it is said that Shanai Ruparame Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya Atma Samstam Manakritva Nakinchidapi Chintayet. So slowly we have to make that effort. We cannot force it, we are used to doing physical effort, and where we put in like a lot of forceful, willful effort. So this has to be done steadily, slowly and consciously on a regular basis. Like you start with 5 minutes meditation, then move it to 10 minutes, and then to 12 minutes, 15 minutes, like that we have to go on. And how do you do that? You first have to be very clear in the intellect that the next few minutes you will go do that japa, visualization, or focus on other things like body sensations, breath, anything that you're naturally inclined towards. And so, of course, it has to be done on a regular basis. Like you ideally should not do one practice one day, another practice another day in the initial stages. It should be done on a regular basis. So there, the resolution has to be clear before you sit for meditation. Intellectually, you have to convince yourself, convince the mind. And then what? Then once you have made that resolution, the mind has to resolutely be able to stay within oneself or that object that you're focusing on. And how do you do that? Again, it is mentioned, yata nischarati manaschanchala mastiram tatastato niyam yetad atmanyeva vasham nayet. So as many times the mind moves, you bring it back. So there's a lot of scientific research also on this, how people who have a lot of attention deficit disorder and other things, they are able to use how does somebody whose attention wavers quite a bit, how does their attention gets retrained to focus on that? So the mere act, as many times as the mind moves away from whatever object, like you're visualizing something or focusing on the breath, as many times the mind moves away, you bring that mind back again and again and again. And with that conviction that every time you're bringing it back, you have actually improved that concentration capacity. So this is the fundamental thing to know, because otherwise we are thinking that, oh, it's getting worse, I'm getting a lot of thoughts, I cannot meditate. No, every time you do that, you are strengthening the mental muscles. So this is the fundamental practice that, whatever. See, there are so many other ways of meditating, but the essence of all those meditations is this. At least at those yogic initial levels of meditations. As many times the mind moves, you bring it back. So that ability is where the mind quietens down. Because the nature of the mind, whether people have challenges, see, attention deficit disorder is like more commonly phrased, diagnosed, kind of a mental state for most some people, but actually most people have some challenges unless they have consciously trained themselves. Almost everybody kind of has this attention deficit disorder unless they have trained either consciously or unconsciously to train the mind, because this is what Arjuna says there to Bhagavan, Chanchalami mana Krishna pramati balabhadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayo riva sudushkaram. So the mind's natural nature is to be restless, like the wind, it doesn't stay in a place, right? Like the mind is that difficult to control as trying to channelize or control the wind. And this is what Krishna also agrees, Asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena chagriyati. So how do you train the mind? First thing is practice, abhyasa. You have to keep practicing. Otherwise the mind will tend to be turbulent. And then the important thing is when you sit in there, you should renounce everything else. Meaning for those 10 minutes, that intellect has to be completely, resolutely determined that it will focus on that. It will make an effort that I want to improve, I want to change, I want to change this habitual pattern of the mind. And then is when the mind slowly comes into control. So this is the first aspect. The second kind of approach, which is more popular in a lot of Buddhist practices, is working mindfully with the mind. Meaning like mindfulness is that ability to be aware of the nature of that mind as many times as it's going. So you in a way don't force the mind how you do it in yoga practices. So you try to bring that nature of awareness. There is an aspect of that mind which remains in that mere observing. So that as you cultivate this ability to observe the mind itself, so the mind observes the mind. So as many times as that mental mind is moving into different things, different objects, especially of senses, like it sees, hear, taste, touch, smell, all this, are distracting the mind in many ways. And original yoga method is, every time that happens, you bring it back. Here you just become aware. As many times the mind moves, any thought comes, also feelings, memories, all this comes, but you don't let go of that observing mind. You stay in that state of observing with a sense of equanimity without attempting to control the mind. Because you understand that the mind is not controllable. The mere power of observing allows the mind to kind of settle down in a way that is your initial intention. So here, this is possible only if someone has done some yogic meditation in the first place. So you can start with any other objects here also, things like sounds or sensations and even thoughts, just being aware of those their moments. Ideally, you need some support. So as you keep doing that, the mind gets too agitated. You should come back to watching the breath, or if you are sitting at some place where, like, you're watching the river, or you're watching something in nature, the tree or something. So you keep coming back. You keep coming back and hold that as a support. And every time the mind wavers, you come back. I will probably go another session into that more deeply. There is a deeper also sense of awareness, and this is that awareness of one's true nature, oneself. As one begins to realize that there is that subjective thing in any kind of subject-object relation of the mind, meaning I am seeing something, a hand, so my eyes is the subject. Through my eyes I'm seeing it. Then the hand moves, I'm still able to watch with my eyes. Similarly, there is a natural awareness we have. That natural awareness is aware of everything. And it is that through that power of knowing of that awareness, we are aware of everything else. So even the activities of the mind are based on this support of awareness. Or this is the essence of that mind's knowing capacity. So once you are pointed out about that nature of awareness, or you get a glimpse of it and you connect to that, then you are able to be a natural witness for everything. You don't have to make a conscious effort to have the mind watch the mind. See, when the mind watches the mind, there is always a time lapse, maybe of even a few seconds. So if some thought comes, so I'm aware after that thought has come, when I'm consciously trying to be that observer. So every time some sound comes, thought comes, after that sound has come, I'm aware. So that is what happens with most mindfulness practices. So the Vedantic or the deeper non-dual kind of practices is you remain as that awareness. And in that awareness, that spontaneous knowing of that thing is known, that spontaneous knowing, of anything is understood or is directly known. So there it is not like a split where the mind has to think about it after it has happened. Again, these needs to be guided through properly. So again, we will run through some sessions how to do it. But meditation in these ways are the first important things. After all this, one can consciously engage in contemplation, especially the Buddhist analytical and contemplative practices, self-inquiry practices. So here is where a lot of these ability to do these practices can be realized better. As one gets a little bit proficient in the yoga steps, then they can move to the mindfulness, and then to that being with that natural awareness throughout the day, informally also. So formally you practice, but also informally that awareness, you start recognizing that there is a natural awareness with whatever is happening. And then you can consciously try to contemplate on that nature of awareness, using, of course, some analytical approaches, such as the famous question like Ramana Maharshi's, who am I? And other inquiries, what are these aggregates, especially the 5 aggregates of, the body, mind, and thoughts, feelings. Anyway, so these are standard practices where you can engage a little bit more into that analytical, contemplative practices. Then in Vedanta, there's also a lot more, like Tridrishya, Panchakosha Viveka, and all that. Again, we will go through some of these in deeper sessions. Namaste.